Okay, let's kick it off with some fundamentals. We're going to talk about the difference between employee engagement and employee experience, because although they sound very similar, they are different concepts. And when you understand the difference, you'll be in the 1% of the 1% of anyone in HR or comms or people ops that don't understand this, and it's why everyone's confused. You'll also understand how driving engagement works at the end of this lesson once we explain this. It's a lot deeper than what we're about to show you, which is why there's more lessons. But for now, just know that at the end of this, you're going to be like, oh, okay, I got this. And you do. But first, let's go back like 5 years when I was doing all my research. That's me behind disengagement curtain. I'm whispering to you, okay? Isn't this weird? When you Google how to drive engagement or how to retain my workforce or how to get everyone to stop quitting and quiet quitting and everything in between, you get such word soup on the internet. You get all these blogs and articles and ebooks promising you all the answers. Just click here. We'll tell you how you're going to drive engagement. The problem is a lot of these articles are using the terms interchangeably. And when I first saw this, I thought maybe it's just two ways to say the same thing, but it's not. And if you Google any of these concepts, be very careful what advice you're willing to take, because the only people who can tell you what it's going to take to drive engagement are your own employees. These articles often lead you back to some tech that's trying to sell you something because they do care about you. They're trying to solve a problem, but they're also trying to make money. But it was very clear to me when I was in my researching phase, like, what is the difference? Does this even matter? And it turns out it does matter a lot. Because driving engagement is a very emotional thing to own. You are basically measuring everyone's emotions and how they impact business critical outcomes. So to the executives, they're like, yeah, drive engagement because it has to do with revenue and, you know, an engaged workforce is more productive and we can measure those things. But employee engagement is a rainbow variety of how your employees feel about working at your company. So let's define the two so that you never feel confused again. Or if you see these two terms, you know how to use them in your own head to know how to think critically. So employee experience is the daily interactions of working at your company where employees are deciding whether the company cares about them. So basically, what's it like to work at your company? Is it a little busted? And this is stuff you would never know because you're like off running the business. Are there too many meetings? Are people not nice? Is the manager of this person like vague and hard to understand? Was onboarding not great? Are the teams not working together cross-functionally? If you have frontline employees, what's it like to get their cart ready to go clean hotel rooms, hospital rooms? Is it easy? Are there barriers to entry to do the basics? Is stuff unorganized? Maybe you have manufacturing workers. It's like, do people have to cross each other on the assembly line in a weird way? These are all things I've heard as I've worked with companies, the little teeny tiny mini moments that cause employees to be like, what? Why is this so difficult? There's a better way. Employee engagement is the emotional measurement of how much employees care about the company. So basically, the employee experience is a subconscious, ongoing thought pattern that your employees are having. Whether they realize it or not, it's really not on them to figure out. They are having interactions with people, with getting their work done, with the tools and things that they need to do their job, whether it's software or actual literal tools, where their brain is like, ugh, there's a better way to do this, or like, oh, why is this so hard? And it's causing them to be like, this is like so obvious to me. Why hasn't the company figured out a better way to do it? And then over time, they're like, I don't care about this company because they don't seem to care about me. Okay? A more simple way for you to remember it is experience drives engagement. Experience is the input, if you will. What you get is engagement, which is the output. So the experience of what it's like to work at your company, whether it's good, mediocre, or bad, is what causes your employees to be the different levels of engagement, high or low or medium or whatever. You measure it with surveys. We'll get to that part later. But right now, we're just talking fundamentals. Experience drives engagement. A more entertaining way to look at this is this busted employee experience off on the left. for whatever reason, this employee is not loving working at this company. Whether it's a constantly changing schedule or a bad manager or the teams are at each other's throats or things are just kind of lackadaisical and confusing, it's the daily work that is then causing them to not be engaged. The problem is that most HR or people ops or comms executives, whenever you figure out disengagement is like afoot or the people are not engaged, that's when people Google stuff and they're like, let's put together a peer recognition program because that's what Google said to do. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll talk about that later of when to do that for your company. But this is not the time to go look outward for answers, is my point. But you can see how a bad employee experience causes your employees to not be engaged. But as you find and fix the broken moments of your employee experience, by getting involved, see on the left, this person, you, this stick figure, non-gender you, is taking some of those red X's down and fixing them and kind of straightening out this roller coaster ride where the employee's still like, I'm not loving this, but okay. And they're a little bit more engaged. And then ultimately, if you really optimize your employee experience in the right ways, which we will teach you, you will drive engagement. But if you do things for your employees against what an article says, and they haven't asked for it through a survey, or it's really not as big of a problem as you think it is, they're like, why are you giving me something I didn't ask for? Like a recognition program, for example, when they're like, I would really like a manager who's much nicer, or a team that knows what to do, or way less meetings that wander because this is making me crazy. The thing with the employee experience to understand too is that it's dense and you are off in comms land, people ops land, HR land, wherever you are. There's nothing wrong with you. You're doing your thing. Nobody knows how many plates you have spinning, but the employee experience is unfolding per every employee. It's like every little interaction is more than you think. I just data dumped a quick riff of what it's like in this text box. There are so many moments in a day, in a week, in a month, in a quarter, in a year, however long and however times many employees you have. That's a lot of information for you to sift through. And there's a lot of moments that may not always be obvious to you. So things like, I've seen, all of this is true, by the way. I have seen sales teams who are super pumped about the product they're selling and love working with the team, but the process itself of logging a new deal in Salesforce, which is a way to measure how the sales team is doing, it takes 17 steps of clicking 17 buttons because someone in management won't let anyone optimize the way that gets done. And the way the work gets done is mind-numbing and annoying, and it takes the creativity out of just doing the job. I'm just going to pick a few others of these that, again, these are all true. And there's many, many more examples. But when goals are unclear or don't exist, there's no sense of done. There's no sense of how's the company doing? How do I fit into the bigger picture? Am I doing a good job? That causes a lot of unnecessary stress and for people to lay awake at night. If the all hands is boring too, that's a really expensive meeting to pause everyone's salary for an hour and be like, we made this much revenue. And it's this person's birthday. And this is what's next on the product roadmap. Okay, have a good day. We're not going to ask you any questions. We're not going to ask for feedback on this meeting. But thank you for listening to us talk at you. Even though you, employees, have a lot of the answers we're looking for in these executive meetings. Take care now. The all hands is a moment where employees are like, does this company have it together or not? I'll do a bonus lesson after this course is built on how to run a better all hands. But these are the little things that cause us to be like, what? Okay, I'm giving my most precious resource, which is my time, my energy, away from my family, away from myself. Yeah, you're paying me, but is it worth it? So it's the employee experience that is either busted or not that causes us to be engaged or not. I want to round this out by giving you some common misconceptions about how driving engagement works. Just to clear up things that I hear a lot that I'm like, no! So I'm putting it in this course. It's that, first and foremost, people think disengaged employees are lazy. This often comes from executives. Disengagement is not a character flaw, it's a coping mechanism to dealing with daily life at a company that hasn't really got it figured out and isn't doing things to invest in making the experience at the company better. Nobody wakes up wanting to give their worst and risk their paycheck, their benefits, their 401k, their stability. They don't. I've been this person. They're not lazy. They're just at a loss and their mental health is struggling to find the energy to give it another go. Okay? Another misconception is that employees just want snacks and happy hours and ping pong tables, and then that will make them engaged. Those things are nice to have, but they're like sprinkles on a cake. If you put sprinkles on a plate and you're like, here's your cake, employees are going to say, I'm starving and I can't eat that. That's not going to fill me up. I'm going to leave and go find real food. Employees need the meaty stuff, like, well, I just talked about cake and meat, but employees need sustenance. They need you to focus on our managers. I'll teach you all of this to do it in the right order. They want to make sure that the projects are properly scoped, that the teams are living up to their values, that the brilliant jerk is handled, that there's a sense of company direction, that the executives have got it going on and they know what they're doing, that their teammates are committed to quality. That stuff is more important to us than if you give us something like peppy and exciting, like a snack box or a gym reimbursement. It's like, okay, but I'm not going to work here very long anyway because I don't like working here for like the main stuff. Another common misconception is that it's a one-time fix, that you like drive engagement and then it's done. I would say most of you probably know this isn't true, but a lot of executives are like, we drive engagement once a year. Engagement is ongoing. It's like an always-on feedback loop that you would have with your employees through surveys. You should always be asking because there's always something to improve, and no workplace experience is perfect. There's always something to be learning about how to do better. And that's that positive momentum you get, where in the next lesson, I'll show you how that drives the bottom line and why it's very bad for your business's revenue and bottom line when employees are disengaged for a very long time. But it's kind of like a fun momentum to create. It becomes very rewarding once you get good at asking employees, what can we do better? What would make you recommend this company as a great place to work? We'll talk about that survey question in one of the next lessons, but it's a good mentality, like, check for you, that this is not a battle to be won. It's a race that you run and you drink water, you hydrate, and then you keep running. But it's one worth running, but it's something you're going to enjoy doing once you get really great at it. I'm rambling and saying the same thing in different ways, but I think you understand. Another common misconception is that it's only on HR to fix. We'll talk about the importance of managers, but the executives and the people managers are an extension of any of you in HR watching or people ops. It is not just your job to be figuring out everyone's professional crisis. That's a lot of pressure on top of everything else you own. So we're going to teach you how to make sure you reposition all your other stakeholders and get them to understand how to help you and what you need from them so that you're not doing it by yourself. Because remember that metaphor of going to the moon? If you want to drive engagement, you need to build a rocket. No one can build a rocket all by themselves. That's crazy. That's impossible. So don't put that pressure on yourself. And the last misconception is that driving engagement is like a bunch of Cinderella stories. What works for one company works for another. It's unique to every workforce. They have to ask for it. When you hear about someone's amazing recognition program or performance review process or the way they, celebrate company values against people doing their best work, you'll hear all these great stories. And it's very tempting to be like, let's do that. You can keep those stories in your head as a bank of inspiration, but always map it to something your employees have actually said through surveys, okay? I want to go backwards really quick and go back to one of these slides. The reason this person knows what to work on and what to fix, who's fixing the broken roller coaster, is because they are figuring out through surveys what's busted. They're not over here like, disengagement's low. What are we going to do? Again, that's the person that Googled it. And these people just quit on the left. Like the employees are like, I'm done. I can't. Or they stay and they're like, I hate this place. And they actively sabotage. We'll talk about that in the next lesson. But you drive engagement by surveying your employees to figure out how you're going to deliver a better employee experience. Okay? Employee experience is the hard, tricky part. That's the part that's full of plot holes, dead ends, and employees are like, what? Can you please fix this? And it's not just like tech. It's like the way people interact and treat each other. It's dense and it's highly emotional. People upset each other. People step on each other's toes. People run each other ragged. And a lot of times, if you have knowledge workers and they're using Slack and Teams, they're using those tools to like either talk smack about how ridiculous something is, or they're trying to figure out something that just really from the beginning, the company needed to do a better job of explaining what it was or what they needed or what success looked like. So the employee experience is dense, but you will find patterns in the surveys. We're going to teach you how to do that very fast with AI, and make sure that you know things are starting to feel like this. You're finding and fixing the right broken moments, and you'll really start to get your confidence because you're going to hold your ground with executives after another couple lessons when we teach you how to talk revenue. And if you get blocked and they say, don't work on that, we'll teach you in so many words how to say, why would we not listen to the revenue drivers when they're the ones who drive the revenue? Again, you're not going to say it that way, but it's going to feel good on the inside that that's what you mean. And you're going to be sticking up for the people and leaning into your superpower of empathy without getting your tail stomped on by the executives. Apparently you turned into an animal or a fox, but I don't pick the metaphors. They come to me. Sometimes it's a game day decision. I don't have a choice. And it's like, I'm like, that was not the right one to pick. I should have kept that one in my head. The biggest takeaway for this lesson, I just said it, but we're going to say it again. You will improve employee engagement. Like you'll drive it up when you optimize your employee experience against what your workforce says will make them feel motivated, valued, and connected to each other and their work. What this doesn't say is through surveys. Okay? Last time I'm going to say it. You drive engagement by giving a better employee experience. Experience-driven engagement. You use employee surveys correctly to figure out what's busted. We're going to teach you. In the side panel, there's like a little comments bubble here somewhere. I'm curious if you have ever noticed that experience and engagement have ever been used like similar but different. Did you know there was a difference? And what else did I want to ask you? What else do you want to tell me? What did you learn in this lesson that was like, oh, okay, I hadn't thought about it that way? Because I think this really truly is the first time a disengaged employee was like, let's talk about this. So I have to imagine this is like a different way of receiving HR, people ops, or comms workshopping. So what did you like about this? What was helpful? It's something you hadn't considered or known before. Okay, this was a long lesson. I'll try to go faster. I love you guys. Bye.